Hey guys, I just wanted to make a quick video about how hours work biblically. Seems to be a little confusion with this. I recently did a video about what day Messiah was crucified on, and one of the comments I got back was it had to be 72 hours. And somebody said, I said, well, where does it say 72 hours? And they said, well, it's common sense that 3 days and 3 nights is 72 hours. A lot of common sense out there is not common anymore. People have different opinions as to what common sense would be. And arguing scripture based on common sense is arguing or debating, discussing based on opinions. You will find nowhere in the Bible where it describes a length of time more than a couple hours as in the terms of hours. You won't see 24 hours, 48 hours, nothing like that. Why? They counted hours differently. If it was a period of time, they would count it as days. They would count it as months. They would count it as years. And it could even be something like times time and half a times, which is 3.5 years. It's interesting because the middle point of tribulation at one point is described as 1,260 days. At one place, it's described as 42 months. Another place, it's described as times, and half a times, making us understand it's 3.5 years from the midpoint to the end. But the interesting thing that the word hours only appears 3 times in Scripture, at least in the New King James Version. And let's take a look at those real quick. Acts 5:7. Now it's about 3 hours later. That's not going to help us trying to say that something has to be 72 hours long. Acts 19:34. They found out he was a Jew. All with one voice, he cried out for about 2 hours. Okay, that's not going to help us. What's the interesting one is John 11:9, where they were talking about whether or not they were going to go back. Lazarus had died, and the disciples basically said to him, Rabbi, lately the Jews sought to stone you, and you're going to go back again. In other words, we don't want to go there. They might stone us too. And Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours in a day? If anyone walks in a day, he does not stumble. Because he sees the light of the world. But if one walks in the night, he stumbles because the light is not in him. So let me explain a little bit about how hours actually are calculated. Notice he said there's 12 hours in a day. They would take the daylight portion of the day, it's on a sundial, divide it by 12, and there were 12 hours. So it starts at about, it depends on the time of year. And right now, the sun comes up about 5:30 in Jerusalem, and it sets around 6. So there's 12.5 hours. So an hour is a little over an hour long, at least an hour as we would know it. Other times of the year, the hours get shorter or longer periods of time. An hour is not even a set period of time because it depends on the time of the year and how long the daylight portion of a day is. So if somebody's arguing something 72 hours and they're trying to count something that way, or they're debating something that way, they don't understand Scripture. They don't understand how time was told at that time. But just something I thought I'd throw out there, because it's interesting, because you see the 3rd hour. When is the 3rd hour? Well, that's the 3 hours from when the sun came up. So when we know that Christ was crucified or put on the cross at the 3rd hour, so that was about 9 a.m. We know that he gave up his spirit at the 9th hour. So that's approximately, excuse me one second. Yeah, the 9th hour is approximately 3 p.m. Actually, it would be a little later than 3 p.m. But that's just how they did it. All right, thanks for listening. God bless you. Take care.